that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. For my respectful obeisances unto him. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for being here. Suddenly, there's so many more. This is very nice. Some of the group is a little sleep deprived, I hear. So thank you for being here despite having limited sleep after the trip to Ottawa. Today, we're continuing in Canto 9 with which section, Monil Prabhu? Chapter 16. Okay, we'll hear about Lord Parashuram destroying the burden of Kshatriyas on the earth. Yes, up to verse 1 through 23. So, we had previously heard about an intrigue between who? Who were the personalities involved in the intrigue? Kartavirya Arjuna and? Anyone? I know Sahadev knows. Anyone else? Jamadagni, who is a sage and the father of Parashuram. And Kartavirya Arjuna stole his Kamadhenu, the wish-fulfilling cow, out of some greed. And so Parashuram killed Kartavirya Arjuna, and Jamadagni, his father, chastised him for killing the king, because the king is the embodiment of all the devatas, and told him to atone for his sins. So Parashuram went on pilgrimage. So I'm remembering that we already read this section. We're on the next one. Yeah, so Lord Parashuram goes on pilgrimage, and then we heard about some adultery that happened, this confusing situation that happened, which I can't claim to fully explain. And starting with text 10. Gotcha. Okay. Okay, so we'll hear more of the pastime and perhaps get some more explanation. Does anyone remember what happened? Actually, I forgot. So maybe we just, again, read from the first text, unless anyone can give us a summary. Yeah, let's do some review. It seems most of us have forgotten. Okay, so I'll just read text 1 through 10, and then we'll pass around a microphone if we can get one by then. So Shukadev Goswami said, "My dear Maharaj Parikshit, son of the Kuru dynasty, when Lord Parashuram was given this order by his father," the order was to go on pilgrimage, "he immediately agreed, saying, 'Let it be so.' For 1 complete year he traveled to holy places. Then he returned to his father's residence. Once when Renuka, the wife of Jamadagni, went to the bank of the Ganges to get water, she saw the king of the Gandharvas, decorated with a garland of lotuses and sporting in the Ganges with celestial women, Apsaras. She had gone to bring water from the Ganges, but when she saw Chitraratha, the king of the Gandharvas, sporting with the celestial girls, she was somewhat inclined toward him and failed to remember that the time for the fire sacrifice was passing. Later, understanding that the time for offering the sacrifice had passed, Renuka feared a curse from her husband. Therefore, when she returned, she simply put the water pot before him and stood there with folded hands. The great sage Jamadagni understood the adultery in the mind of his wife. Therefore, he was very angry and told his sons, 'My dear sons, kill this sinful woman.' But the sons did not carry out his order. Jamadagni then ordered his youngest son Parashuram to kill his brothers, who had disobeyed this order, and his mother, who had mentally committed adultery. Lord Parashuram, knowing the power of his father, who was practiced in meditation and austerity, killed his mother and brothers immediately. But just wait, if you think it's not so nice. Jamadagni, the son of Satyavati, was very much pleased with Parashuram and asked him to take any benediction he liked. Lord Parashuram replied, "Let my mother and brothers live again, and not remember having been killed by me. This is the benediction I ask." So Krishna and his different incarnations, avatars like Lord Parashuram, they know how to organize things in such a way that everyone gets benefit. Actually, Krishna is so pure that whatever he does automatically benefits everyone. Hare Krishna Maharaj, good morning. Maharaj, I'm just here filling in for you, so I welcome you to please come and take my place here. Can we swap? You were scheduled, Maharaj. Oh, I see.
No, I was supposed to tell you, but then I saw you practicing dancing, so I was like, maybe you would be interested.
So please, we actually just got to the point of today's class. We were just reviewing yesterday's class. Okay. So text 8 says, "Thereafter, by the benediction of Jamadagni, Lord Parashuram's mother and brothers immediately came alive and were very happy, as if awakened from sound sleep. Lord Parashuram had killed his relatives in accordance with his father's order, because he was fully aware of his father's power, austerity, and learning. My dear King Parikshit, the sons of Kartavirya Arjuna, who were defeated by the superior strength of Parashuram, never achieved happiness, for they always remembered the killing of their father." So in this purport we discussed last week, Srila Prabhupada says that no matter who one is, whether one is a sage or a king, or to make an extreme example, Srila Prabhupada says, even God himself can make a mistake. Of course, we know that's not actually true, but Srila Prabhupada is saying this to make a point that we should be very careful, and we should take a lesson from this history of Jamadagni, the great sage and father of Parashuram, that despite being very austere and learned, he still was overwhelmed with anger when he learned that his wife had thought of another man. She didn't actually do anything, but in these days people were so pure that even to think of adultery was considered a great offense. So we should understand, for one, that the context was different. The purity level of people in general was very high. So we might think in today's world, well, yeah, everyone's thinking, practically. Our whole culture is conditioning us to think romantically about other people. This is the whole industry of Bollywood and Hollywood, and so many songs are just training us to think about adultery, practically. So for someone in today's world to think in this way, to become attracted to another, even under marriage ties, it's not surprising. A cultured person won't act on that, but in today's world, it's not a big deal if many of us struggle with these types of thoughts. So we should understand that at this time it was a very different culture, and these people we're hearing about were very pure and highly cultured. So that's one thing. And the other lesson we get from Srila Prabhupada in this purport is that be careful, no matter who you are. And sometimes Krishna will arrange things to happen that seem really bewildering, but it's for teaching us a lesson. For example, the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is an eternal devotee of Krishna. He travels with him from one universe to the other. And Arjuna became overwhelmed with confusion, and he didn't know what to do. This happened by Krishna's arrangement so that he could speak the Bhagavad Gita for our benefit. So we shouldn't criticize Arjuna because he had become illusioned. We should understand that this is the Lord's arrangement, And similarly here, I can't say conclusively, but it may be that Jamadagni was similarly put in under a spell, or even if he was, by his own weakness, illusioned, then still the Lord is so amazing that he can use our mistakes to teach others valuable lessons. And we should also recognize that in this culture, women were highly respected. So we may read this text 5, he says, "Kill this sinful woman." And from the context of today's world, we may think this is abuse. And in fact, it is improper. Srila Prabhupada explains he should not have done this. Jamadagni should not have done this. But still, in this culture, women were very, very respected and protected very carefully. They were seen as representatives of the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi. So just a few points to better understand this section, which can be a bit bewildering. Now we'll go on to today's section, starting with text 10. We'll hear what happened next, starting with Bruce, please. So maybe let's just go from here across to the front and then around like that.
Once when Parashurama left the ashram for the forest with Vasuman and his other brothers, the sons of Arjuna took the opportunity to approach Jagamadni's residence to seek vengeance for their grudge.
So with these microphones, hold it directed towards your mouth, yeah.
The sons of Kartavirya Arjuna were determined to commit sinful deeds. Therefore, when they saw Jamadagni sitting by the side of the fire to perform yajna and meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is praised by the best of selected prayers, they took the opportunity to kill him.
With pitiable prayers, Renuka, the mother of Parshurama and wife of
A
Jamadagni,
little slower, if you would.
begged for the life of her husband. But the sons of Kartavira Arjuna, being devoid of the qualities of Kshatriyas, were so cruel that despite her prayers, they forcibly cut off his head and took it away.
So Bhagavatam teaches us both what to do and sometimes what not to do, like in this situation. Go ahead.
Lamenting in grief for the death of her husband, the most chaste, Renuka, struck her own body with her hands and cried very loudly, "O Rama, my dear son Rama."
Although the son of Jamadagni, including Lord Parshurama, were a long distance from house, as soon as they returned, Renuka loudly calling, "O Rama, my son," they hastily returned to the ashram where they saw their father already killed.
Virtually bewildered by grief, anger, indignation, affliction, and lamentation, the sons of Jamadagni cried, "O Father, most religious, saintly persons, you have left us and gone to the heavenly planets."
Thus lamenting, Lord Parshuram entrusted his father's dead body to his brothers and personally took up his axe, having decided to put an end to all the Kshatriyas on the surface of the world.
Text 17. O king, Lord Parshuram then went to Mahishmati, which was already doomed by the sinful killing of a Brahmana. In the midst of that city, he made a mountain of heads, severed from the bodies of the sons of Kartavirarjuna.
With the blood of the bodies of these sons, Lord Parshurama created a ghastly river, which brought great fear to the kings who had no respect for Brahmanical culture, because the Kshatriyas, the men of power in government, were performing sinful activities. Lord Parshurama, on the plea of retaliating for the murder of his father, rid of all the Kshatriyas from the face of the earth 21 times. Indeed, in the place known as Shamanta Panchaka, he created 9 lakes filled with their blood.
Thereafter, Parshuram joined his father's head to the dead body and placed the whole body and head upon Kusha grass. By offering sacrifices, he began to worship Lord Vasudeva, who is the all-pervading supersoul of all the demigods and of every living entity.
After completing the sacrifice, Lord Parashurama gave the eastern direction to the Hota as a gift, the south to the Brahma, and the west to Advaryu, the north to the Udgata, and the 4 corners, northeast, southeast, northwest, and southwest, to the other priests. He gave the middle to Kashyapa and the place known as Aryavarta to the Upadrashta. Whatever remained, he distributed among the Sadashyas, the associate priests.
Thereafter, having completed the ritualistic sacrificial ceremonies, Lord Parshurama took the bath known as the Avabrita Snana, standing on the bank of the great river Saraswati. Cleared of all sins, Lord Parshurama appeared like the sun in a clear, cloudless sky.
Thus, Jamadagni, being worshipped by Lord Parashuram, was brought back to life with full remembrance, and he became one of the 7 sages in the group of 7 stars.
My dear King Prakshit, in this next manvantara, the lotus-eyed personality of Godhead, Lord Parashurama, the son of Jamadagni, will be a great propounder of Vedic knowledge. In other words, he will be one of the 7 sages.
Lord Parshuram still lives as an intelligent Brahmana in the mountainous country known as Mahendra. Completely satisfied, having given up all the weapons of Kshatriya, he is always worshipped, adored, and offered prayers for his exalted character and activities by such celestial beings as the Siddhas, Charanas, and Gandharvas.
In this way, the Supreme Soul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord and the Supreme Controller, descended as an incarnation in the Bhrigu dynasty and released the universe from the burden of undesirable kings by killing them many times.
Thank you all. Quite a dramatic scene. Maybe next year's drama can be Parashuram, Jamadagni, and Kartavirya Arjuna. Okay, so now we're going to which text? 23. Okay. So before we go in there, just want to comment, because that was a lot of gruesome murder. Maybe not murder is the right word. Killing. So we see that on the plea of, how does it, Srila Prabhupada translate it? On the plea of avenging his father. Yes, Lord Parashuram killed all of the kings of the earth 21 times. And he says on the plea because, as I was explaining earlier, sometimes the Lord will create some intrigue, some excuse so that he can perform the pastimes that he wants to and needs to perform for the well-being of everyone. Like the Battle of Kurukshetra, the Pandavas tried in every way possible to avoid having this all-out war. They tried peaceful negotiation. Even Krishna himself went and tried to appeal to Dhritarashtra and revealed his universal form partially. And still, Duryodhana was adamant that there must be war. And this was Krishna's plan, was to have the Kurukshetra war happen, because at the time there was an unnecessary burden of irreligious leaders. This is a great problem in today's world as well. We can see that most leaders of countries are not following dharmic principles. They're allowing for slaughterhouses to be rampant and for millions and billions of innocent animals to be killed just for a taste, just for a whimsical sense pleasure that the citizens have. And governments are allowing for alcohol to be freely drunk and purchased. Now marijuana is legalized, and you see shops on every street corner of Toronto. And like this, the leaders are not only not stopping sinful activity from happening, but they're encouraging it in today's world. Like if you just walk up Yonge Street here, you can get to an old train station, which is now LCBO, where they sell liquor. And this is a government program. They get taxes from selling alcohol to the people of Toronto. And the government also subsidizes grains which go to feed cows for slaughter. So in a world such as this, nobody will be happy. There will be disturbance always. The weather will be irregular, people's health physically and mentally will be disturbed. There won't be order in society. We see so much homelessness and crime and addiction and abuse. So much of this, and it's because the kings are not promoting Dharma. So in this situation, Krishna or his representative will come and set things right. And if he can do it peacefully, he'll do it peacefully. But if there are very stubborn criminal leaders, then he may come, like Lord Parashuram, and have a little bit more dramatic upheaval. We also will see, if you stick around a few 100,000 years, I wouldn't recommend it, but you'll see another avatar who does something similar. Who is that avatar? Kalki avatar will come and practically destroy everyone. Because as Kali Yuga progresses, it's like the winter season of the yugas cycles. And things will only get worse until they get so bad that Krishna has to just come and wipe out everyone, because most people will be so degraded that they'll be cannibalistic, they will live very short lives, it will be very ugly. You won't want to be around then. And then the whole cycle resets, and again it's Satya Yuga. So it's important we get this context. Why is, because someone may come and listen to this reading and say, your God slaughters millions of people and makes a mountain of their body parts and lakes full of blood. It seems very gruesome. And we should understand that this is not promoting, condoning unnecessary killing, but we should understand the lesson that violence has a use, but it must be done in accordance with Dharma. It must be done in accordance with scripture and under the direction of brahmanas. Then violence can be used to stop criminals from harming innocent people. Otherwise, a ruler is improper, allowing criminals to go and disturb innocent people. And in fact, this is why Lord Parashuram killed all of these kings, because they were not following brahmanas. The leaders must be guided by sages. Otherwise, they will do things that are harmful. So just a little context that I think is important we understand. Now, text 23. Yeah. I'm 23, right? Okay. I'll just say it one time for sake of time. Tataschava brittasnana vidhu tashesha kilbasha saraswatyam mahanadyam rejevya ivashuman. Now please say the word for word with me. Tata, thereafter, cha, also, ava britya snana, by bathing after finishing the sacrifice, vidhuta, cleansed, ashesha, unlimited, kilbasha, whose reactions of sinful activities, saraswatyam, on the bank of the great river Saraswati, mahanadyam, one of the biggest rivers in India. Reje, Lord Parashuram appeared. Vyabhra, cloudless. Eva Amshuman, like the sun. In translation, please read with me as well. Thereafter, having completed the ritualistic sacrificial ceremonies, Lord Parashuram took the bath known as the Avabrita Snana. Standing on the bank of the great river Saraswati, cleared of all sins, Lord Parashuram appeared like the sun in a clear, cloudless sky. And purport, Antariksha, I don't think you got to read. Maybe you can read purport for us?
As stated in Bhagavad Gita 3.9, Yagnarthat karmano nyartha loko yam karma bandhanaha. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work binds one to this material world. Karma bandhanaha refers to the repeated acceptance of one material body after another. The whole problem of life is this repetition of birth and death. Therefore, one is advised to work to perform yajna meant for satisfying Lord Vishnu. Although Lord Parshuram was an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he had to account for sinful activities. Anyone in this material world, however careful he may be, must commit some sinful activities, even though he does not want to. For example, one may trample many small ants and other insects while walking on the street and kill many living beings unknowingly. Therefore, the Vedic principle of Panch Yajna, 5 kinds of recommended sacrifice, is compulsory. In this age of Kali, however, there is a great concession given to people in general. Yajna Sankirtana Prayar Yajantihi Samedeshaha. We may worship Lord Chaitanya, the hidden incarnation of Krishna, Krishna Varnam Tvisa Krishnam. Although he is Krishna himself, he always chants Hare Krishna and preaches Krishna consciousness. One is recommended to worship this incarnation by chanting the Sankirtan Yajna. The performance of Sankirtan Yajna is special concession for human society to save people from being affected by known or unknown sinful activities. We are surrounded by unlimited sins, and therefore it is compulsory that one take to Krishna consciousness and chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Thank you. So again, Srila Prabhupada makes this extreme point that even God himself can commit sinful activity and has to atone for those sinful activities. Of course, this isn't absolutely true. Krishna is all pure and can never do anything sinful. Whatever he does is pure. Just like the sun, no matter which liquid it comes in contact with, extracts only pure water. Even if it's sewage, even if it's liquor, whatever contaminated substance, the sun is all pure and can never be contaminated. And so Krishna is like that. He's Apapa Vidham. Sri Ishopanishad states that not only is the Lord antiseptic, he's prophylactic. So he purifies things that are impure, and so antiseptic, and then prophylactic. Can someone look up the definition of what does prophylactic mean? It's kind of a technical medical term. This is from Sri Ishopanishad, from one of the original Vedas, and Srila Prabhupada translated and commented on this text. So prophylactic means intended to prevent disease. So it's for future contamination. Not only is the Lord so pure that he purifies us, but he prepares us to encounter future impurity and to be unaffected by that impurity. Thank you. So here, the lesson we should take is that no matter who we are, even if we are a very dharmic, very good human being, still we're going to accidentally commit some sinful activities. When you drive on the highway, you'll see so many insects that are killed by your windshield. It's quite gruesome. And therefore, Bhakti Marg Swami encourages us to walk. And you would still step on some insects, but it's a lot less. So even if we're trying to avoid sinful activities, even Sikh people will wear a mask to prevent breathing in microbacteria and prevent violence. So it's a very noble effort to avoid Jains. Thank you. It's a very noble effort to avoid violence, but still, they still are walking, they still will step, and still we're eating, and in the food there will be some microbiotic life that will be killed. Therefore, the Vedas say we need to do 5 types of yagyas, but in this age it's not practical. We don't have time, we don't have the ability, we don't have the knowledge, we don't have the qualified priests. So therefore, the Srimad Bhagavatam recommends the Sankirtan Yagya, which is the chanting of the holy names, especially the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Why is this chanting recommended? Because it is directly putting us in contact with Krishna, and in a very easy and pleasant form. Usually, in this age, we don't want to do difficult things. We don't want to take on austerities and disciplines. Waking up early is difficult. Getting in a cold shower is difficult. Going to work is difficult. We don't want to do austerities in today's world, and Krishna understands this. And it's important that we develop this ability to do austerities. But Lord Chaitanya has made it very easy for us by creating this Sankirtan movement, which is chanting, dancing, and feasting. What intelligent person would say no to a community or an event where there is nice songs, where there is dancing, and when there is delicious food and drinks? And the amazing thing is that all of this is purifying. Just by eating, we become purified. So Lord Chaitanya knows that it's very difficult for us, so he gives us prasadam. And as we become more and more purified, those who are sumedhasa, who are very intelligent, start to recognize that I should start chanting. So you may begin at the sumedhasa level where you're very intelligent and you can show up at ISKCON Toronto right away and decide, yes, I will chant every day this Maha Mantra. If we're not so intelligent, myself, I have a case study of the not so intelligent. It took me a few years after meeting devotees to realize, maybe I should really try this seriously. It took a lot of prasadam to conquer my heart. So once we become a little intelligent, we take up a daily discipline. And it's not easy to do. Of course, there's an element where it is easy, yes. Kirtan especially, we sit together and sing and dance. But the austerity that is very important to develop, and the main one we need to do is to commit to chanting every day, japa. And not just to chanting, but to bring our mind and our heart into the practice of chanting. Many of us here in this room already commit to a daily practice of chanting japa. But that doesn't mean we're finished. We can't just rattle off our rounds and then move on with our day. We are developing a relationship with Krishna. So Krishna makes it very easy at the beginning because we're thinking wifam. You know what wifam means? Anyone know? W-I-F-M. What's in it for me? At the beginning, we're self-centered. Okay, I want a nice party, I want nice food, nice singing, nice friends, and so we come and participate in a community like this. But as we become more and more purified, we realize what's in it for, or how can I bring happiness to Krishna by my service, by my chanting? All of what we do here is meant to develop our loving relationship with Krishna, because that is ultimately what will make our hearts satisfied. If we don't have a relationship with Krishna, then we will seek unlimited other things to fill that space in our heart. But nothing but the unlimitedly sweet, unlimitedly powerful, unlimitedly wise and benevolent Krishna can fill that space in our hearts. We get disappointed with romance and employers and coworkers and friends and family because we're wanting them to fill the role of the perfect person in our life. But nobody is perfect except Krishna. So we develop our relationship with Krishna by repeating his names. Just like perhaps you've seen in cartoons or movies, there's a middle school romance or high school romance, and one is writing the names of the beloved over and over again. They just can't stop thinking of the name of their beloved. So in material romance, we see this. You can't stop thinking about your crush. And that's a natural feature of the soul. We just have to direct it towards Krishna. Otherwise, we will always be disappointed. So to summarize and conclude, the Lord is perfect and pure in everything he does, and it may look gruesome sometimes, it may look bewildering or strange, but if we understand the proper context and if we understand who the Lord is, then we can see why he's doing it and what lesson we should take from it. And here the lesson is violence has its proper use, and when there are criminals especially who are representing themselves as leaders, they need to be properly removed or reformed, or if nothing else works, eliminated. And so Lord Parashuram, to set the example for all of us, although he's the Supreme Lord, he does this yagya to purify himself. And in this age, the yagya that we do is the Sankirtan Yagya. And this Sankirtan Yagya is very simple. It is focused around chanting the names of Krishna. And by repeating the names of Krishna, we come in contact with him. Our heart is purified, and our eternal relationship with him is awakened, and we will resume our eternal life of bliss and full consciousness in the spiritual world with Krishna. So now we have some time for reflections and questions. Maybe Bhakti Marg Maharaj, would you like to share any insights? Thank you for allowing me the chance to speak.
Hare Krishna. Yes, just before we came up here, you were talking about the respect for women in the Vedic times. I was just, for the devotees playing Madness, Nityananda, I just wanted to show him Charles Lawton's version of the Hunchback of Notre Dame. He talks, he's deformed, he talks, like a madman. And this, do you know the story, Victor Hugo's epic? Yeah, so they found a woman who they considered classified as a witch. Usually it's just a woman who knows how to do herbs and knows a few things that are not, that are holy, what they consider non-holy. So we were just looking at it, and all the crowds are there, and they caught this witch. This is a beautiful woman, actually, and they're ready to execute her. And then Charles Lawton, as the hunchback, comes on a rope from the cathedral and comes down and lifts her up, swings her the other way, and saves her in the cathedral for sanctuary, because once you're in the church, there's no one can harm you. Anyways, I just thought that, oh, this is so topical. You brought this thing in. So there was a time when single women had a real hard time, especially in Europe, you know. But one guy thought, I'm going to protect this young lady. Anyways, just the topical topic of protecting women. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
We should do that. We could do the play here. Someone swinging down here.
Okay, who's next? Yes, Antariksh.
Prabhu, you mentioned about the irreligious leaders. During Kurukshetra war, a lot of religious leaders also got killed. Sons of Pandavas were also killed by religious means. And how is it like after Kurukshetra war, when the Mother Earth was relieved from the burden of irreligious leaders, Kali Yuga started? Satyuga should have started after that. Like billions of leaders were kind of killed during that war.
Okay, so you're saying if the world was rid of irreligious leaders, why didn't it just become Satya Yuga? And why did Kali Yuga begin? That's your question?
Yes, because right after the war, only one leader was left, that was Parikshit Maharaj.
And he was pure devotee of Krishna?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, a very thoughtful question. Well, some of us desire to enjoy the atmosphere of Kali Yuga, and therefore Kali Yuga has to exist. Some people are, the material world exists to fulfill the unlimited desires of conditioned souls. And so there has to be an age where activities are so degraded that people who want to enjoy such a life have a place. And so there's levels. I'm not calling all of us highly degraded people. But this is one perspective, is that this Kali Yuga has to exist. It's part of the reason the material world exists, is to facilitate the desires of irreligious souls. And so the Lord arranged that Maharaj Parikshit apparently made a mistake of putting a dead snake around the neck of the sage Shamika, and then his son Shringi cursed Parikshit. And this was the beginning of Kali Yuga, was the corruption of the Brahman class through this Brahmana boy. So this is one perspective I could share, is that Kali Yuga has to exist. How does that sound? Is that satisfying?
If Parikshit Maharaj hadn't done that, we wouldn't have Srimad Bhagavatam
exactly.
for ourselves.
Also.
So the Brahmana did the right thing, actually.
Well, he didn't do the right thing, but the Lord arranged that this Bhagavatam was spoken and that the Kali Yuga began, so he can fulfill multiple purposes with one situation. So Shringi did not do the right thing, and he was acting improperly, and yet the Lord is able to use that to facilitate his purposes.
So someone who is not kind of working religiously, despite being a Brahman, still they are satisfying a divine arrangement. Sorry, I always get confused. I'm getting you confused as well.
You're saying that even if someone is acting improperly, they are still satisfying the Lord's arrangement? Yeah, this gets into the question of free will. What is Krishna's will versus our will? And Krishna gives us ability to act, some limited independence. And he is able to arrange everything so that everyone's desires are satisfied simultaneously. It's far too complicated for us to understand the intricacies of it. Maharaj, can you add more?
Hare Krishna. I'll just say a little bit. This is the whole story of the Mahabharata is really Krishna's drama, and the young Brahminical boy Sringi had to do something evil to, just get the whole kickstart the whole Kali Yuga, which is inevitable. Just like I think you talked about winter, isn't it? Winter is the season of, like Kali Yuga is the wintry season. You talk about the cycles, the 4 seasons. So Sringi was selected as the guy who would be the catalyst. Brahmins are supposed to behave properly, and he misused his Brahma Tejas in order that there would be a major curse that would just kickstart the whole Kali Yuga. Well, it's Krishna's drama, really. He's directing the play.
Thank you. Yes, so someone may be acting improperly, but Krishna can use an improper person to facilitate his drama, as Maharaj was saying. Yeah. That doesn't mean we should act improperly and say, oh, this is just Krishna's Leela. No. It's 8:30. Maybe we can have one final point from Nityananda.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So,
Hare Krishna.
the same question, the same point, like if the people were not supposed to do all the bad activities, all the things we see in Kali Yuga, in this age, Lord Chaitanya would not have come. So it's do you think like it's because when we read Chaitanya Charitamrita, Vaitacharya, he's like begging Lord to come because of all these bad people and stuff. So do you think it's arrangement that Krishna make us? Like it's kind of confusing sometimes.
Does Krishna want Kali Yuga to happen so he can come as Lord Chaitanya? Well, he doesn't come in every Kali Yuga. So no, because only once in every day of Brahma, which is how many billions, trillions of years? 4.32 billion years? Okay, 600 something trillion or billion. Anyway, it's a gigantic number in that many years. Krishna and followed by Lord Chaitanya, they come only once. We are fortunate that they just came some 500, 5,000 years ago. So no, Kali Yuga doesn't happen so Lord Chaitanya can appear from that perspective. But in every Kali Yuga, which must happen, like winter must happen for the environment to reset, Kali Yuga has a Yuga avatar. And so if Lord Chaitanya doesn't come, then at least Kalki will come. And he's not as fun. But Krishna comes in every Yuga. It's not that he arranges the Yugas so that he can appear, but we conditioned souls want to not be with Krishna, so Krishna creates the material world with the Yugas, and in every Yuga, to help us come back to him, he advents in different incarnations. Thank you for your question, and thank you all for your attention. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa